Sustainability can be defined in many ways. However, it has several defining elements. The ability to continue human life on Earth, the longevity of biological resources and agricultural production, stable human populations, limited growth economics, an emphasis on the small scale and self-reliance, and maintain the value of the environment and ecosystems. The short and sweet definition of sustainability is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Global sustainability aims to provide safe and adequate food, water, energy, health, settlement, and other ecosystem services for all, without degrading the environment, losing biodiversity, or destabilizing the Earth's system processes. To ensure we do not degrade the environment, lose biodiversity, or destabilize the Earth's system's processes, we must learn to conserve. What is conservation? Conservation is the act of preserving, guarding, and protecting. It is the wise use of nature. Theodore Roosevelt popularized a definition of conservation, saying, "It is the wise use of the earth and its resources." The World Conservation Strategy of 1980 defines conservation as the management of human use of the biosphere so that it may yield the greatest sustainable benefit to the present generation while maintaining its potential to meet the needs and aspirations of future generations. This definition is quite anthropocentric. Others suggest the definition should be less relevant to humans and more about nature's inherent value. What are the benefits of conservation? The aim of conservation is to protect biodiversity. Biodiversity has many values and many improve human well-being. In the developing world, biodiversity provides food and raw material for clothing, shelter, fuel, and medicine. Poor rural communities depend on biodiversity for an estimated 90% of their needs. In the developed world, like here in Australia, biodiversity supplies raw material for husbandry and new biotechnologies. Other benefits include physical and mental well-being, ecotourism, education, aesthetics, and possible unforeseen future properties. Perhaps the biggest benefit to conservation of biodiversity is the ecosystem services that they provide. Ecological functions provided by sea otters through predation of sea urchins enhances kelp forests, which provides habitat for many other organisms. Wolves as keystone predators in Yellowstone, the filtration of air and water by plants. These are just some of many examples. Conserving these organisms is thus hugely important for maintaining the health of the natural environment. These ecosystem services also benefit agriculture. Conservation is a management tool to save biodiversity. Biodiversity is under threat from human population, consumption patterns, habitat loss, pollution, introduced species, and disease. The human population is at 7.3 billion and predicted to reach 9.7 billion by 2050. People need room to build, to grow food, and place to dump their waste. The simple equation is, the more of us there are, the more room we generally take up. The only reason the current human population doesn't destroy the entirety of the natural environment is because some of us live in extreme poverty. If every person on Earth lived like the average Australian, we would require 3.6 Earths to sustain us. We consume many times the local primary production of our area, and thus import goods from elsewhere. This is having a profound effect on the Earth's ecosystems. We continue to expand, converting more land for agriculture in the last 30 years than the previous 150. In 40 years, water capacity behind dams and locks has quadrupled, reducing freshwater river flows with 3 to 6 times more water behind dams than flowing in the river. 50% of the world's habitable land has already been converted to farming land, with a further 120 million hectares of natural habitat converted to farmland to meet food demand by 2050. These natural habitats are full of biodiversity. However, they are replaced with monocultures to meet rising food demands. The biodiversity doesn't just affect the wildlife that lives there, but it also affects humans. A failure of one monoculture crop due to a natural calamity would be crippling. An example of this is the story of the Gros Michel banana, due to Panama disease.
The genetic monotony of the Gros Michel crop was its undoing. A fungicide-resistant pathogen called Panama disease began infecting the Gros Michel crop. By the time growers understood how vulnerable their crops were, the Gros Michel variety was all but extinct. A global monoculture of genetically identical individuals is a beautiful sight to a pathogen. The fungus only has to figure out how to infect and destroy a single individual, and suddenly there's no diversity to stop it or even slow it down.
The answer is genetic diversity, as genetic resources hold the key to increasing food security and improving the human condition. Increased biodiversity, increased food security. Climate change is perhaps the largest overarching issue. The capacity of ecosystems to deliver essential services for human well-being is already under stress, and climate change will force extraordinary adaptation. Deprived of biodiversity, the ability of humans to meet the resulting challenges from climate change is severely limited.
The polar bear is the quintessential symbol of climate change. Its habitat is melting, but global warming also affects other animal species all over the world. Every added degree of temperature has its consequences. With global warming, the vegetation in large areas of the Earth changes, and with it, the food the animals live on. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change predicts that 1 in 3 species will die out if global warming continues.
The current rate of loss exceeds the historic past by several orders of magnitude and shows no indication of slowing. Earth's ecosystems have been dramatically transformed through human actions. Over 60% of ecosystem services have been degraded, with the trend accelerating towards 2050. Less than 10% of named species have been assessed by the IUCN Red List. Between 12 and 52% of world-studied taxa are threatened, causing biotic homogenization. Biotic homogenization is the process whereby a biological community becomes increasingly dominated by a number of widespread species. We have lost 20% of the world's coral reefs, with a further 20% degraded. We have also lost 35% of the world's mangroves. Terrestrial species have declined by 25%. Freshwater species have declined by 55%. Marine species have declined by 25%. And overall, we have experienced an average decline of 38%. 1/4 of over 4,600 mammal species and 1/10 of just under 10,000 bird species are threatened with extinction due to human actions. The extinction rate is around 100 times greater than rates characterized by species in the fossil record. Why save everything? Why not just conserve the things that benefit humans by providing ecosystem services? There are a multitude of reasons why we should conserve nature beyond just their ecosystem services. Because it is our responsibility. We humans cause the loss of biodiversity at all scales. We should fix it. Because the evolutionary process of 3.8 billion years have led to this diversity. Why do we have the right to destroy something that was created through the same process that we ourselves were born? Because each species is irreplaceable and offers us knowledge into a unique set of solutions to a range of biological problems. Losing a species means we lose potential knowledge. That knowledge might have led to discoveries like new drugs, new materials, or new technologies. Drugs like penicillin, discovered by Fleming and successfully applied by Australian scientist Howard Florey, ended up saving millions of lives. Biodiversity has a chance to hold many more secrets, like penicillin. Conservation could give us the chance to discover them. People are also fascinated with the natural environment, experiencing it through tourism and the general love of the great outdoors. It is also known to improve physical and emotional well-being. And because who would want to live in a world without pandas? We want to improve human well-being, improve people in the global environment. To do this, we currently develop and expand into the natural environment to build our homes, make our clothes, grow food for our growing population, and supply resources to our ever-growing consumption patterns. So how do we conserve biodiversity against this growing pressure? The simplest to explain, but the hardest to actually achieve, would be to completely change our way of life, to move away from our consumption patterns, to switch to sustainable food, energy and other resources. Dare I say it, let go of a capitalistic mindset and chase a future for all rather than just one's own. Do it for the benefit of everyone rather than contributing to the tragedy of the commons. This strategy is clearly idealistic and in the real world would fail due to our lust of money and power. The silver bullet strategy would identify biological hotspots and protect those. 44% of vascular plants and 35% of 4 vertebrate taxa are confined to biodiversity hotspots, which only cover 1.4% of the Earth's surface. This strategy would protect the largest amount of biodiversity in the smallest amount of space. These areas should be protected due to their high biodiversity, but it fails to identify the vast other types of biodiversity, including diversity of food resources. Ecological modernisation suggests the use of technological innovations, use of market-based mechanisms, transforming production methods and reducing pollution are at the source to achieving environmental outcomes. This solution, however, ignores the fact that we quite simply don't have the time or the technologies at hand to reverse the damage that is occurring right now. Rather, a precautionary principle where we conserve, revegetate, restore and protect the natural environment now would possibly allow nature to recover itself. Eco-agriculture suggests that biodiversity and agriculture don't have to be incompatible and mutually exclusive pursuits. It suggests that we can transform from our high-input monoculture plantations at the independent farm level to diverse, low-input integrated systems at the landscape level. This solution could have the landscape support biodiversity, supply ecosystem services, and achieve sustainable food production through sustainable agriculture. So what now? We need good policymakers at all levels of government, including local and international. We need to educate and raise awareness on the importance of biodiversity, and we need to do it soon. We have already lost many species and ecosystem services already. If we don't manage to turn this around, we humans won't be around. We simply do not appreciate what the natural environment does for us, but we will when it is too late. We are part of the environment, not above it. We need to conserve. Why do you think conservation is important?
You've got to have a natural environment, otherwise people go crazy. It's true. What I learnt in my open space subject. Having natural elements and stuff is quite important for people to stay mentally in the right headspace. It helps people to relax and learn